Welcome to Following the Gannetsway podcast with Joe Aston and Dominic Peer. Hi, Dominic here. Today you will listen to a part of a recording I made at Joe's recent public talk. He will talk about several topics such as his reasons for installing an electric drive in the NAM, his experiences gathered in fishing, setting up a sailing association, the possibility for local co-op business venture in Kilrush involving electric drives. Let's listen to Joe's talk.
Why do I want to put an electric drive in the NAM? I'm not a climate change fanatic by any means. I'm kind of agnostic about climate change. But there are all sorts of very good reasons for putting electric drives in a boat without even considering climate change. So anyway, to really understand this, I better talk to you a bit about fishing, which I'd like to do anyway, because my fishing career started in 1973 in Donegal in a small boat, a 33-foot boat with a diesel engine. That was all, what they call a half-decker in Donegal. Now, we went herring fishing with 10 nets, clean-mended nets from Gundry's, Scottish nets, which we anchored in the evening in fleets of 5 where there were signs of fish, the blackbacks lying on the water. And we made a great thing of that. The price of herring was going up to the extent that we got £18 a box. That's in the 70s. They were lovely herring. But of course it was too good to last, and a whole bandwagon got going, and they got all these mid-water, the Killybegs men, fair play to them, were very good on the ball with mid-watering and so on. But VIM built boats, and then before you knew it, they had the deposit for a bigger boat. They had these big steel tank boats in Scandinavia. So, come 1980, there were hardly any herring left in Donegal Bay anyway, and the price collapsed. You could hardly get a £5 box. Wonderful. So anyway, you just, when you're trying to make a living fishing, you just have to figure out where the next thing is, you see. So there was cod fishing, there was turbot fishing, there was salmon fishing. They all had their day. They all boomed. I won't go into all the gory details. But all those fishing lasted a few years and they were destroyed. And then we went on to, dogfish, for example. When I came down here because I figured I was too close to all those Donegal men, and we could see that opportunity down here. And Finbar got the co-op going. Finbar Murphy, who got arrested, died the other day, and an ice plant on the pier, and a market for fish. So we had a great few years in carrying over fishing, but it got very difficult, and I was getting long in the tooth, and I handed the boat over to Luke. He couldn't really see his future in it. It's a tragedy, really. Everywhere you go now around the coast, you'll find fishing communities are demoralised, and there's very little fishing in small boats. Now, no matter how many stupid regulations come down, bang, white collar. It's not going to help, really. For a start off, there's no need to ban white collar. From the point of view of chaps going out and catching a few boxes. They're not allowed to. The French are probably out there fishing away, the Spaniards. They're not allowed. Legally, you can't even land a white collar. Funnily enough, the black collar have got scarcer than the white collar. There's no word about banning fishing for black collar. That command and control attitude doesn't work. But somehow we have to find our way to a different approach. And the thing about the dolphins is, what's attractive about them is that they invite you to join the dance. And that's that wonderful feeling you get when you're sailing along with them on different strands, totally different strands coming together to a rope. And it's the same as the wonderful thing when you're in a sailing boat. Why is it so therapeutic? Because you're not being pulled this way, that way, the other way the whole time. Life comes together in that focus with the people you're with and with nature. Well, somehow or another we need to get on side. We've got off side as far as nature is concerned. So maybe the dolphins and whales can teach us a bit how to do that. But what's more, I think with sailing, you have a quite different attitude with a diesel engine. It's noisy, it's vibrating, it's costing you a lot of money. You're thinking of going from A to B. You haven't the same sense of communion with nature. But on the other hand, engines are very useful. And the beauty of an electric motor is you're in a bit of a tight corner, or you want to edge up a bit nearer or a bit further away from an isle. You can be just sailing there and, quiet, it's always there. It's not like having to go down and start the engine and all the racket and so on. But above all, supremely, the reason I am attracted to the idea of an electric boat is self-sufficiency, autonomy. Because the idea is when you're sailing well, there's huge power in the propeller turning. It's damn hard to tie the propeller of the NRM off. I have a little knack of throwing a clothes on it and a cord that wraps around it and holds it. And then all of a sudden when she's going, and this prop will start to turn. You wouldn't believe the power of the NRM is unbelievable when she's really sailing. If you're up on the bow when you're really sailing to windward, the boat is working so hard. And there was one wonderful occasion when I was going down a wave and a breaker was up. A wave broke under the boat so that we were surfing. I don't know, it seemed an age, but I'm sure it was only a matter of seconds. But the boat was perched on this breaker with white water, level with the deck, to port and starboard. I think we must be doing about 20 knots. It was an unbelievable feeling. So anyway, electric motors. How wonderful to be able to go cruising or sailing or whatever and not have to worry about buying diesel. It's always a big problem. Diesel and going into a marina, those are the two big expenses you have if you're cruising. And they are. I mean, in the Mediterranean, you're talking 100 quid a night or more to go into a marina. And even in Europe, you're often talking 50. So that is one thing. And the other thing is, another consideration is, apart from the fact this would be a lovely way to do dolphin and whale watching, it's also a lovely way to fish. I don't see why you shouldn't build fishing boats on the same principle and fish with hooks. I'll tell you a little story about fishing. When I was in Donegal, I used to go for the weekend with my old man, one weekend summer. I had to. I came to Ireland with him first, by the way, in a 27-foot boat. We set sail from Rye, down the English Channel, and we went as far as Castle Glengarriff, actually. And we didn't have any electronics. This was before the days of electronics. No AIS. No. It was great fun. We used to sail backwards and forwards across the channel quite a lot when I was a kid. And we had nothing, only a patent log and a compass. And as far as the fog is concerned, which you get quite a lot of in the channel, you would hear the engine. You would probably hear the prop. You would hear the bow wave. And you'd be peering into the fog and trying to judge this blooming ship. And the question was, where's to start the engine? If you started the engine, you couldn't hear properly. If you didn't start the engine and you wanted to get out of the way in a hurry, it might delay you. That would be another advantage of electric motors. But anyway, fishing. I was going across the channel. The last time I think I sailed across the channel with my dad, probably. And we saw a fleet of boats about 20 miles off the French coast, wooden boats, about 30, about the size of the Salio Quay, with a sail and an air-cooled engine, a fleet of them working together, one guy in each boat, standing there, da-dee-da, working line, for mackerel. And I saw them being landed in little polystyrene boxes, packed in ice, beautiful product. I had driven through Kilrush on the way to get there, and the tank boats, it was the first time I saw the tank boats landing. And there were forklifts flying in all directions. They were landing the fish in these great big tanks. The fish were squashed all over the pier. Off they go in factories to get frozen and sent to Africa or something. So I said to myself, I wonder what the future is. Who's nearer the future here? These big, fancy modern boats, or the guys with their sail up and their hooks? Well, I think there has to be a middle way. There has to be a bit of both. So that's what I would love to experiment with. To wrap things up, I am wanting to start a Gannetsway Sailing Association because I'm 78 and I want to hand the management of the NRM over to this sailing association. Is Dixie here? Oh, Dixie, yeah. Dixie, maybe you'll come because I'm much inspired by Sheil Shanna. This is very encouraging. The question is, are human beings too fussy to work together and run a boat and take responsibility and share responsibility? You know, it's a good question. Well, we won't do it all at once, but I'm 78 and I'm on the way out, and I'd like to get this sailing association going to take over the NRM. And what's more, to get Stevie there to build a bigger version, to take 15 people or 20 people sailing to Spain or Scotland or whale watching, whatever they want to do. So that's the Gannetsway Sailing Association. And the other thing is that we could make a hub in the Shannon Estuary for electrifying boats. You know, if we have the determination, if we have there's plenty of talent around. It's to focus it and finance it. And there's Alec down there in Portugal as well, who's interested in the same thing. So we could have a setup maybe with an outfit in Portugal, an outfit in Ireland, and I'm sure the potential is to get hundreds of customers to electrify boats if you could get doing it at the right sort of cost. So that is the Gannetsway Sailing Association and Gannetsway Marine Services. And I'll give you a card there afterwards. And the other thing I'll do, I just mentioned before I wrap up, my email address is there. So if anyone's interested in either of those, then you see the structure. I should say a little thing. I'm rather inspired, for example, by the Kerry group, which started off as a co-op. And then they saw the business potential. And so they had to get capital. So they really had to go capital. You can't expect people to invest serious money without a proper structure to get a return on their capital. But the co-op retains a share in the company and a seat on the board. And of course, it's very much in the interest of a company if you can have it to an extent rooted in place, in communities, and you have a sense of ownership and responsibility in your employees. So one other thing I mentioned there, being inspiring, is Brittany Ferries, which is a farmers co-op. Started off as a farmers co-op. And when I was a kid in Hastings, after the war, the French onion men came along around the streets with strings of onions. They came over in fishing boats to begin with, and their bikes, and they hung strings of onions on the handlebars for the day, and off they went around the streets selling them. That's how Brittany Ferries started, from a co-op. Then they got a co-op and bought a boat to bring their vegetables over to England. So it goes to show what can be done. This community beside the sea, which loses interest in the sea, is finished. That challenge should get at anyone with a bit of going of the sea, and not think in terms of going away or living under government. Or, anyway. I think it's a great idea. Gannetsway Marine Services, Gannetsway Sailing Association. Send me an email expressing your interest in one or other of those, and we'll take it from there, depending on what interest you get.
And I'm back again. We leave Joe's talk here and return to it next week. If you stumbled across our podcast and you are interested to hear more, then I invite you to click on the subscription button and the notification bell so you won't miss any of our new podcast publications. If you're interested to read some of Joe's writings, then you can do so at his blog Sailing the Gannetsway at gannetswaysailing.blogspot.ie. Bye!